أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. So, inshallah, we will continue our discussion from last week. Before we start for this week's topic, it might be good to remember what we discussed last time. So, anybody wants to remind us what we told last week? Cameron, do you remember what was?
Yeah, the main point that we talked about is kind of not treating the Qur'an as only stories, and kind of understanding that these stories have lessons in them, and that it's not just a story. I think use the example of Sulaiman, doing something that we read in the Quran, but that this has implications that we are in the same situation that we have.
So, as Qur'an was saying, we were reading from Surah chapter Furqan, the first 6 verses, and in the 5th verse, there was this mentioning of, and they say it is the stories of the old, stories of the ancient. This is how they were. Or like there was this attitude that Quran is describing, saying that it is the stories of the ancient. But Quran was saying that, implying that it is not stories of the ancient. It is something very relevant to you yourself. And our intention is to read it as it is speaking of our story, our own story. We can move this way a little bit. Yes. So, yeah, last week we started with chapter Furqan, which defines Quran as the criterion of truth and falsehood, so Furqan. And we were mentioning that we are in need of guidance in this existence. There are like ups and downs. We are getting into troubles. Which one shall I choose, this one or that one? We are making like real life choices. And one of the examples that we were mentioning last time was youth, who is going to be my significant other, or you fell in love with someone and then some trouble arises. The parents don't want it, or the brother of the girl doesn't allow it to happen. And there's some sort of real problems that we encounter in life. What is right, what is wrong? We always get into such situations. And to whom shall I ask? From whom shall I expect some sort of a guidance? Shall it be my professor, my parents, a medical professional? Who should guide me? Quran was coming up and saying that I'm going to guide you. I'm going to show you what is right and what is wrong. And we said that this is something that we would expect, because in this existence, I do see that, like, I just drank tea and the water molecule in my stomach is going to go to its proper place. It is being guided. Like, this water molecule does not travel by itself. And this is the case for the whole existence. This planet Earth is going within a certain route. It's not staying backward or going forward. Within its proper place, it is being guided to a certain destination. So how about me in this life? I am as if like this water molecule, and all the choices in my life, just as if they are being introduced in front of me. But how am I going to navigate in this existence? So definitely I am in need of whoever made me should tell me what is right, what is wrong. This was the initial motivation for last week. And then we said that, okay, how about these? The scripture, Quran, claims to be this guidance. But when we look at it, we see a lot of stories in there. Are they really stories from which we derive a few meanings for ourselves? Like it is the story of this man or that man. And look how much of that story fits you. Not completely, maybe. Or is it 100% relevant to me? Each and every part, every facet of Quran, particularly addressing me directly. And this is very much going to shape what we expect to take from Quran. So this part is really the very important and several times needed to be underlined. What do we expect from Quran? So what is our definition of Quran? Because accordingly, we will extract meanings out of Quran. If it's a storybook, like we were giving the example of Dostoevsky, so if it is a novel like Crime and Punishment, you would say that, well, this one is written according to the mindset of a Russian in the 19th century, I believe. So to a certain extent, it can fit me, but to a certain extent. Because Dostoevsky, he might have been a very wise man, but he has his own limitations. How about the Quran, though? Is it a text that is written for the 7th century Arabian Peninsula, or is it written for me today, here and now in Philadelphia as well? But from cover to cover, from every single verse, does this apply? It must. So this was our point of view. This speech must, if it is the speech of my maker, who makes me breathe right now, who makes me survive right now, I must take the speech as my creator speaks to me, metaphorically speaking, as if in this room. It directly tells me every single word, directly addressing me. This is how it doesn't become an asatirul awwalin. This was the word that is being used in the verse. It's not the story of the ancient times. It is your story, here and now. Quran is telling me about my life, about my choices, and what is right and what is wrong for me. So this was our, I guess, in a very short summary of last week's discussion. So, and also we started questioning, who am I? This was also part of last week's discussion. Who are we in this existence? And we were giving some descriptions like, I am an engineer, I am his father, I'm her father, sorry. Like I am a, I don't know, researcher, or I am a student at such and such place, or I am a Muslim. We give all such descriptions in order to define myself. But these are all descriptions that just are added later on. It's not inherently defining who I am, as if like I am the person who wears this ring. So if you throw away this ring, do I cease to exist? I don't exist anymore. Is this what it is? And all the descriptions that I give is pretty much like wearing this ring. I mean, before she was born, I was not her father, for example. All the things that we define ourselves with are just added stuff on top of ourselves. But our ultimate question is, what will happen after I die, though? All of those are going to end. Am I going to become nothing? It's a very disturbing feeling, right? Think of it. You work for a thesis for 5-6 years. And at the end of it, people say that, okay, you're out of school. We don't give you a degree. Or just they burn your thesis and say that, go away. How would you feel? All your efforts gone for nothing. This is how the life is. We live a life, and at the end of it, they put us under the earth, cover us with earth, so that people are not going to get disturbed by our smell, rotting body. Very disturbing, right? So who am I really? And to define this question, to find an answer to this question of who am I, we are going to ask it to the scripture, to the Quran, and we'll expect Quran to tell me who I am really, and why am I in here? Did any one of you choose to be here? I'm hoping that the answer is yes. Nobody pushed you to be in this room. But how about the life? Did any one of you choose to come into life? You don't remember making such a choice? Okay. As if you found yourself. You opened your eyes and you were here? Okay. So how would you feel if tomorrow you open your eyes and you are inside a car? The car is going too fast, or hands are tied as if in the middle of darkness. How would you feel? What would be the first question you ask? Who kidnapped me? You don't remember entering into this car. You open your eyes and you are inside this car. And the car is going like crazy, 150 miles. This is, I guess, pretty much how she should feel. She opened her eyes and she was inside this car of world, and the world is going in an unknown direction. I guess pretty much faster than 150 miles per hour. Yet she didn't choose to come here. So who put her in here? Where is she going? What is going to end up? It's all out of her choice, right? So let's ask this question to Qur'an. And what does the one that put me into here must give me an answer? Why am I here? And where am I going to? Okay. So, she wants to start the discussion since nobody else is talking. Okay. So, inshallah, we are going to start discussing Surah Al-A'raf. This is the 7th chapter. And the first few verses, we are going to study them as a context, to give a context. And then we will talk about some major parts. So until verse 10, it's going to give us some background, a motivation for what is going to come. Okay? So, which means the first part is going to be a little bit quicker. Who wants to read us the first verse in Arabic? Can we start from here? Are you comfortable with reading Arabic?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Okay, so first two verses, 1 and 2.
oh, 1 and 2. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام.
Oh, so I couldn't copy it, I guess, but there must have happened.
ألف لام ميم صاد كتاب
Let me say that.
I can't really read that clearly.
Yeah, so
What sign is that?
I guess, yeah, I didn't copy it well. So,
Can you pass this Qur'an? No.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام صاد كتاب أنزل إليك فلا يكن في صدرك حرج منه لتنذر به وذكرى للمؤمنين.
so and would you like to read the translation?
The divine writ has been bestowed from on high upon you, and let there be no heaviness in your heart due to it, in order that you may warn and admonish / remind the believers.
Okay. So this in here, Kitabun Unzila Ilayka, so a divine writ has been bestowed from on high upon you. So let's start from there very quickly. Who is you in here?
Whoever's reading it.
Whoever is reading it, right? Because we can take it historically as like a messenger who took it 14 centuries ago. This would be a right understanding. But again, according to what we were discussing last week, this is a text or speech addressing me. So it's saying that I am revealing this down to you. And right now in this room, you are being the addressee of this speech. What comes next? And let there be no heaviness in your heart due to it. Let there be no heaviness in your heart due to it. So, can we say as if it's implying this is there to save you from your heavinesses? It's not going to be a burden on you. It's going to be something to save you from your burdens. And we can ask this question or use it as a measure. Does this message save me from burdens or not? If it is adding some burden on top of me, maybe I am misunderstanding something in there. Because the scripture is saying that this message is there to save you from burdens, not to burden you with something else. لتنذر به وذكرى للمؤمنين, so that you may warn and admonish or remind the believers. So it's a reminder for believers. And belief is, in this context, we are going to take it as my conviction, my security. Like Iman, the word Iman means something that I am secure about. Okay? So you already are convinced about something. And this is reminding you of this conviction. Okay, so can we take verse 3?
Yeah.
If you can.
اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء قليلا ما تذكرون.
Okay, translation for that. Can you read the translation?
Follow what has been sent down unto you by your sustainer, and follow no masters other than him. How seldom do you keep this in mind?
Okay. So, there are a lot of things that, again, since we are going to go through this quickly, there's this reminder that it is from my sustainer, my provider. So it's not somebody detached from the speaker in here is my provider. When I say provider, what comes to your mind? What do you think about provider? Probably. Please.
Someone who gives you money and food, and this is somebody who supports your life.
Okay, so in this case, for example, the creator being your provider, what does it mean for you?
It's less clear. I can't think of a specific thing.
Okay. So you're trying to think of something right now, right? So the thought didn't come to you. If the thought came to you, where would it come from? You would come up with this brilliant idea yourself? Thoughts are coming to us, right? Sometimes a brilliant idea. You're doing, let's say, some research and a brilliant idea comes to you. Where does this idea come to you from? Did you create the idea? But if you create it out of nothing, it was already nothing. How can you create something from nothing? Because you don't know nothing. But there's this contradiction there. Right? Anything that I am experiencing actually is being given to me. I'm breathing air. Air is being served to my nose. I don't go and buy air from somewhere, right? It's being served onto here. And even into my lungs, to my cells. Everything is being served. I am being provided to tiniest detail. So such a one is speaking to me. Somebody who knows me, who provides me with all details, is giving me guidance. He is the one that reminds me of these things. So it's not like a relative, a friend, or somebody who knows about humanity in general. No, someone who knows me to my tiniest details is speaking to me in this scripture. Hence, I should take the rest.
Yeah. Just something came to my attention. I don't know if it is important or not, but in the second ayah, it was ilayka, and then it became ilaykum. So to you as a singular first, like a speech when he talks about the speech, receiving the guidance, the speech personally. But then he starts to explain, like when you ask the question, what's happening to me? What should I understand from all these things? He says, like, look around you. I'm not only providing you, I'm providing everyone. So just like you, everyone else also being sustained. So it gives us a reference point. It gives us a define our position in the among other people as well.
And also, it's not that, for instance, tree is providing me. He's saying that because, let's say, I take the apple from tree. So tree is my provider. He says, no, to all of you, I am also providing tree. And I am providing you with tree. It's not that I provide tree and tree provides you. I provide all of you. And keep that in mind when you are now in need of guidance, which is another form of sustenance, which might be even more valuable. Because if you go to like any soup kitchen, they can give you some sort of soup for your bodily sustenance. But if you would like to go and ask for a legal advice, let's say, from a lawyer, you will need to pay much more money. So there are all different sorts of sustenance in this existence. It's not only this material sustenance. Our thoughts, our feelings are also the things. Or the guidance is another thing that we are in need of as a sustenance. So the speaker in here, the creator, is saying that I know you to that much detail, and I am the one that provide you with all these. Hence, I'm going to talk to you. Listen to me by keeping that in your mind. Okay, verse number 4. Would you like to continue?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وكم من قرية أهلكنا فجاءها بأسنا بياتا أو هم قائلون.
Thank you. And for translation.
And how many communities have we destroyed with our punishment coming upon it by night or while they were resting at noontime?
So what does this verse talk about?
People from before.
People from before, which were destroyed with some sort of a punishment. What does this tell me then? Like, is it telling me to take some lessons from previous ones for the punishment that they received?
Because it was talking about, it was saying not to follow masters, not to follow awliya other than Allah. And it said it's very seldom that people think about that. And an example being people from before who were destroyed because they did not follow.
So how can I verify that? So in my personal life, for example, can you relate to that from your personal life? Because if we say that, for instance, it's talking about Ad and Samud or those other tribes which were destroyed, they themselves are stories if I take as stories. But again, per last week's discussion, we are not going to take them as stories. So what is it that I can say is, yeah, actually, I have experienced some sort of a destruction. I know that it happens. Because in the next verse, very quickly I will go read it. فَمَا كَانَ دَعْوَاهُمْ إِذَا جَاءَهُمْ بأسنا إلا أن قالوا إنا كنا ظالمين. And when our punishment came upon them, they had nothing to say for themselves and could only cry, verily we were wrongdoers. How can I bear witness to that? How is this a... Because I need to be able to observe this so that I can say, yeah, this is truly the case. Many people previously were destroyed, and when the destruction came to them, what they said was, verily we were among wrongdoers.
And for me, I just can't help but think of global warming right now and like all the things that are happening with the environment. Any place for me? Salam alaikum. Please.
Global warming, you said, yeah.
Yeah.
Global warming, you said, yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think we see like so many natural disasters that we know are being caused by actually even our own behaviors. We know that they're like are the
Yes, I guess this is one of them. But, in my personal life, I also happen to do such stuff. As if I am this, because every day you are being in a different mood. So I'm going to read this verse as it is talking about me. Because what I do experience is sometimes I'm having very big dreams, and it happens that some unexpected thing happens, and my world collapses to my head, as if all my dreams are destroyed. I was hoping that I'm going to become the best in this, let's say, whatever exam I am studying for a year. The day before the exam, I am given some sort of a sickness. I couldn't even take the exam, let's say. The whole world collapses to my head. Such a destruction. So what is being my attitude in these cases? Because I gave so much value to this thing, let's say becoming successful in this exam, and then I couldn't even take the exam. And the whole world collapses. Like, my world is destroyed at this moment. And it's like in another setup, it might be a group of people, historically speaking, they were doing something and their civilization is destroyed. I do experience this in my micro life, and this is something more relevant to me actually. Because this is what we make up. We are building up these, maybe right, maybe wrong, imaginations or goals and everything. And then it happens that it doesn't come out. Let's say you are forming a family, you have kids. All of you are kids of some parents, right? Are your parents satisfied with you 100%? But while they were having you, they had some such goals. Maybe you satisfied it to an extent, maybe you didn't. So their world most likely at some point have collapsed or destroyed. What do we say in such cases? Maybe I overrated something, or maybe I seeked for satisfaction in the wrong place. So as this verse is saying. So such a thing happens when we are in dark or when we are in daytime, as the verse is saying. When sometimes things are very dark or when sometimes things are going okay, pretty much fine. But this destroyment comes to our lives. And the Creator says, this is a lesson to you. I want to remind you something with this destruction. Because it's not like I'm going to blow your head and take revenge from you. The Creator is reminding us of something. You are getting sick and you couldn't take the exam. Is it like the Creator is taking revenge from me? Or He wants to learn me something? Because I put so much emphasis on something that I was not supposed to maybe. But then He's taking it away from me and saying that, are you sure this was what you were looking satisfaction in? You thought that this thesis is going to give you satisfaction? Okay, here I'm creating some conditions in which you are going to be expelled from the school. How are you going to feel with that? So, and since we are going to give break within maybe 20 minutes, I'm going to be a little bit quicker for the rest of this page, and maybe inshallah in the second part after the Maghrib prayer, we are going to study the main focus that I would like to focus on. So verse number 6, فَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الَّذِينَ أُرْسِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Thus, we shall most certainly call to account all those unto whom a message was sent, and we shall most certainly call to account the message bearers themselves. So, let's think about this. Am I being called upon account? What do you think about this? Have you ever experienced that somebody's calling you upon account for the things that you did right or wrong? Or is it going to happen after you die? What do you think about it?
I think we experience more of that especially when we're younger. If we were parents, we did something bad and tried to hide it, and then our parents find out. We have to sit for an hour and have a discussion with them about it.
So your parents hold you into account. Okay. What else? When is the day of judgment? We don't know. So when, let's say, you put so much emphasis to take this exam, let's say it's university entrance exam, and you studied for 2 years, and the day before exam you got sick and you couldn't take the test. What happens internally? You have to find a new purpose because the old purpose was not fulfilled. So you start questioning. Why did this happen like this? It's as if it's automatic, isn't it? Internally, all the questions starts attacking you. Why did this happen like that? Was it because of me doing something wrong? Or what would have happened otherwise? All these questions, we are being invited into this questioning. And it is like quote unquote human nature, isn't it? Let's say you love someone so much, and this person that you loved betrays you somehow. What happens? You start all these questions asking to yourself, should I have loved this person in the first place? Why am I having this sort of an experience? Like this guilt start kicking in. And all this guilt and questioning is actually, we are being called upon account. And this is, again, we are trying to understand who am I, and this chapter is explaining who I am. And the Creator is saying that it's not natural that you start questioning yourself in such circumstances. We are reminding you of all these questions, calling you into account, telling you that, remember, you were doing something wrong. And here are the questions for you to find the truth. Even those questioning moments are, if you like, reminders of Day of Judgment. If somebody says, what is your evidence for Day of Judgment? I would say, at the end of every action, I am just facing those questions, quote unquote, naturally. Even if you don't want to ask such questions, those questions just pop up in your mind. You are being called into account. And then verse 7, فَلَنَقُصَّنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ بِعِلْمٍ وَمَا كُنَّا غَائِبِينَ. And thereupon, we shall most certainly reveal unto them our knowledge, within parentheses, of their doings, for never have we been absent from them. Deep inside, we all know that, right? I can fool you about something that I did wrong, but Deep inside, I know the truth. I cannot fool myself. And the Creator is reminding me that I tell you, I am showing you that I was never away from you. Here is my knowledge, and I am aware of it, and I'm reminding you of your wrongdoing. You did something wrong, and automatically it kicks in. You cannot hide it from yourself. I can pretend here as if I'm the best man on earth, but deep inside, I know all my wrongdoings, and I cannot escape from them. I would like to erase them, but I'm not able to erase them. Isn't it interesting? If you had the control over your knowledge, your memory, erase all the bad things that you have done in your life and live your life happily. You cannot, right? You don't have control over your own memories. The one that keeps a record of all those memories reminds me with this that I am the one that keeps record of things, not you. You are not able to erase those records. I will keep reminding them to you. And this is my reality. But we take it for granted, don't we? We take this memories or learning for granted as if we learned something. I am a good memorizer. I memorized the whole Qur'an, let's say. As if we are the ones that do such actions. The Creator, as if in here, reminding that, do you really think so? And try to forget some wrongdoings. Can you really forget them? So, and then verse 8, وَالْوَزْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْحَقِّ. And true will be the weighing on that day. So this will be part in here is, I guess, the translator translated it as will be. But وَالْوَزْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْحَقِّ. So the scale at the day is truth. There will be a scale. Actually, there is a scale. Don't you experience the scale now? This feeling of guilt, what is it? I'm not able to save myself from this feeling of guilt. It is beyond my will, and it is there. The Creator says, don't you see there's this scale in there, and it's not your scale. It is outside of your will. Still it is there. We do experience this wazn, this scale. And this is really a proof, if you like, of the day of judgment. Because this day of this judgment is going on. Despite our will, this judgment is going on. We do judge ourselves. And how am I going to be satisfied with this? How long is this going to take? Qur'an is talking a lot about day of judgment and like the bridge and the heaven and the hell. And again, all these shouldn't be asatirul awwaleen. It is my story. It is explaining me. So وَالْوَزْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْحَقِّ فَمَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ وَمَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يَظْلِمُونَ. So, and those whose weight is heavy in the balance, it is they who shall attain to a happy state, whereas those whose weight is light in the balance, it is they who will have wronged their own selves by their willful injustice to our messages. بِمَا كَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يَظْلِمُونَ. So, in the scale, when I put myself in the scale, I feel like I did something right or I did something wrong. And then, according to this weighing, I'm going to find either happiness or I'm going to say that I wronged myself by blinding myself to the truth. I didn't want to see the truth responsible for it. I'm going to realize that. And this is the last verse that we will read as part of the motivation, verse number 10. وَلَقَدْ مَكَّنَّاكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلْنَا لَكُمْ فِيهَا مَعَايِشْ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Yeah, indeed, O man, we have given you a bountiful place on earth and appointed thereon means of livelihood for you, yet how seldom are you grateful? So again, in this verse, it's all about to you we gave. It's talking to me, and then reminding me of how unthankful, ungrateful I am. So far, from beginning to here, it's all speaking to me, talking about me. And then, inshallah, after the Maghrib, we are going to start discussing it. It's going to switch the topic into talking about shaitan. Inshallah, we will study this part after Maghrib. Yes, go ahead.
Do we have time?
Yes.
So this may sound a little awkward, but I really like when Quran talks about punishment and calling into account all the stuff that we take as scary things, like talking about hell, talking about punishment. I really like them, like it's sincerely, because like when at the very beginning, when he says we sent down this speech, kitab, or the ayahs to you, and because of that, there shouldn't be any, what was the word? The heavens in your heart. So at the very beginning, he already tells me that whatever is being followed shouldn't cause any heaviness in your heart. But it's there to give you relief, just the opposite. So when I read it with such a mindset, the following verses just describes me a perfect, like an education ground. Tells me when you do something wrong, just like we do all the time, destroying everything in your life, we will warn you. We will not let you alone. Like you're not in the darkness. Whenever you do something wrong, whenever you harm yourself, we will be there, destroy everything in front of you which cause you this harm or which cause you this misguidance, and you will be free of them. And we will do it, as he says, by night, like when you have your darkness in your life, or when you are relaxing or resting at noontide, like you're talking about or you're feeling all your achievements. Okay, today, I did all these good things. I'm such a great person. I'm such a whatever. You're resting. You did the hard work. And then he destroys and tells you that, no, this is not you. Don't harm yourself. Or don't put yourself in darkness. So he says, like we destroyed, and as the rest goes, we will continue destroying. When you believe that you build a community around you, when you build something about you for yourself, we will destroy them because they will harm you. And we will teach you, we will give you guidance, and we will call you account so that, check the balance, what is wrong, what is right. We will tell you what is wrong, what is right. We will reveal our knowledge to you. And then, as you were saying, there will be scale, just like, after an exam. Imagine, you take the exam, but professor doesn't tell you what was right, what was wrong, or doesn't give you the scale. You just take the exam, and he says, okay, now go. What is my grade? I want to know, right? Because I want to know what is hard, like heavy, what is light. Whether I am light or whether I am heavy on the scale. I want to know that. And he says, don't worry, we will give it as well. We're not like a crazy professor just hiding the grain. We are giving you the grains. Because this is part of the guidance. It should be the part of the guidance.
We want to, and yet, indeed, we have given you a bountiful place on earth and appointed their own means of livelihood for you, and yet how seldom are you grateful? And now, so the main part that I wanted to focus on is starting with this verse number 11. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقَكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ لَمْ يَكُنْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. So, as with the previous verse, this verse continues talking about me, or us. Indeed, we have created you, and then formed you, and then said unto the angels, prostrate yourselves before Adam. Whereupon they all prostrated themselves, save Iblis. He was not among those who prostrated themselves. So this is an interesting verse now, because half of it talks about us, and we can bear witness to that. When the Creator says, we formed you, we created you, we formed you. So is there any doubt? First of all, let's ask this question for the sake of asking. What do you think, Nazmi? When the Creator says, we created you, do you agree with that statement, or you say that, well, not really?
Some people like disagree.
Some people. On which grounds, for example?
They think they do things by themselves. So
Okay.
like, my parents created me.
Or let's say I'm drinking water, or I'm eating food. Food is nourishing me. The Creator is saying that we created you, we gave you form. So it's not like we created the Big Bang and the rest of it took care of it by itself. Creator is saying that we created you. And last term's discussion was about this, right? The whole series of discussions last term was all about, do I exist by myself, or do I exist because of the nourishment that I take? Or each and every single moment, I am being given a shape. This face in here, for example. What makes this face as it is? Is it my genes? Is it my DNA? The Creator says, we give you form. We shape your face. So my face is changing from my childhood up until now. So this part of it we discussed last term. But then the verse keeps going and says, we said unto the angels, prostrate yourselves before Adam. The first part of the verse we can bear witness to. How about the second part? Have you ever heard the Creator saying that to the angels, prostrate yourselves before Adam? How can you bear witness to that news? Any idea? How can you confirm that this is the case? Because remember, last week we were talking about a guidance, and we gave the example of a map. On the map, it says, Philadelphia Art Museum exists in such and such a location. And as long as it's a guidance, how can I verify truthfulness of it? How can it become a guidance for me? I follow the path, and I came to the location that is being mentioned, and I see that, okay, it is Philadelphia Museum of Art. And I bear witness that this map is correct in terms of defining the location of Art Museum. Now we are at the 11th word of Surah Al-A'raf. And it is talking about human. It is explaining human. And while explaining human, while explaining who I am, it says we created you, we gave you form, agreed, I can confirm this. How about this next part? And we then ask to the angels that prostrate yourselves before Adam. Have you ever heard such a command? Or have you ever seen angels prostrating Adam? What does that mean? How is this a guidance for you? Any idea?
I don't know if this is gonna make any sense or what you're thinking, but I'm thinking of this little video I saw that is like a blown up microscopic thing, and it's saying this is a picture of happiness. And it looks like this little cartoon character walking with this big fuzzy ball on his head, but it's actually carrying, like it's the thing inside of us that's carrying this, I guess, I don't know, serotonin or something molecule. And it just looks like it's walking along, like doing its job, you know? And I think I'm thinking of that image along with just like what you're saying, like the water, the everything in creation is being, you know, delivered to us in exactly the way that we need, and that we can absorb that functions within us. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. And then, would you like to tie this to the angels prostrating Adam?
I mean, I think the way that I'm tying it is that we know that there's angels throughout creation and that are doing all these functions, right? That are serving us, right? By the command of Allah, there's things are happening, right? And the angels are, you know, the way that these are being commanded, right? And these are things inside of us that we have no control, but that are in service to us. So I guess I'm thinking of the prostration as that state of being in service. Does that make sense?
Yes. So state of being in service to Adam. Perfect. So who is Adam in here then?
In this sense, mankind.
Mankind, or you, or me. Okay. So what sort of angels are prostrating me? I'm just trying to open up. So how does angels serve me? And you said angels are doing these jobs, or
Yeah.
so just to open this up a little bit more, what is an angel? What do you think? Have you ever seen an angel? What do you think? Yes.
I think we have a sort of ideas. Sometimes they can be negative, and sometimes they can be positive. I know you will say it's childish, but I attended a training, and the coach was someone from Egypt, he's a very good one. He said, whenever you have a very bad idea, at the same time, you will have a positive idea. So I think angels are responsible for that.
Okay, so these ideas are angels.
Yes.
Okay. So ideas are angels. This is one understanding. What other angels have you seen?
I always feel like whenever I see clouds moving, I feel like the angels are just marching across the sky.
Okay.
Sometimes they look really purposeful. So.
Yes, purposeful. Okay, very good. Purposeful is a good word there. If they were not purposeful, you wouldn't expect anybody to be there, I guess. Like them being purposeful. What else? We didn't hear anything from here. Apparently, gentleman is not in good terms with angels.
Well, the angels are, I think, in some way, we can't see them, at least supposed to guide the way that we worship and kind of the quality of worship. I remember someone saying last semester, you know, when you pray, there's like an army behind you praying with you, and that kind of increases the importance of your prayer. You know, if you go to sleep, you want protection from jinn, and so you will say, wow, for the angels. And so kind of knowing these functions that are told to us and how they serve us, it kind of affects your day-to-day and specifically how you worship and how seriously you take it.
Okay. So, and just as a thought experiment, I was asking this to someone last week. I was saying that somehow, hypothetically speaking, a call comes from the other world. Very hypothetical. and tell us that you don't need to believe in angels anymore. It is dropped from the pillars of belief. Don't bother yourself with it anymore. Is anything going to change for you?
When like who hacked the telephone system?
So, for example, just to make it more relatable, if someone tells you that you don't have to believe in God anymore, you don't have to. You would say, it doesn't make sense. I mean, even if you tell me not to believe in God, I don't have to believe in God. How am I going to explain the existence? It cannot happen by itself. I mean, it's inevitable. There has to be a God. No matter you tell me he exists or he doesn't exist, he has to exist. The creation speaks of it. The universe bears witness that there must exist a creator. How about angels? Somebody calls you and tells you that you don't have to believe in angels anymore. Are you as certain, or shall I be as certain? Because we say, I bear witness, or like ashhadu again, I bear witness that angels exist, right? Pretty much like I say, I bear witness that God must exist. I bear witness that angels must exist. Where are those angels? Because in this verse, the Creator is saying that we commanded angels to prostrate you. And again, I'm saying it prostrate you because of the previous part of the verses. The previous part of the verse was all talking about we created you, we gave you shape, or we gave you form. And then he says, we commanded angels to prostrate to Adam. So Adam in here taking as me as a human. He's talking about, when Qur'an talks about Adam, as I'm listening it to me, because my Creator speaks to me, I'm saying that I created you. And I commanded angels to prostrate you. What do you think? And Adam in here is important. Who is Adam? Who is human? Because let's say, if we go to a civilized society in which everything is made for humans, or let's say you go to a very luxury hotel and you say that, wow, these guys thought everything for the purpose of serving me. Every single dollar that I pay, I am being served for it. They thought of everything. Everybody serves me perfectly. This we can understand in the setup of a luxury hotel. In this verse, the Creator is saying that we, as Chaplin was saying, angels are serving humans. We commanded them to serve humans. What is serving me as a human in this existence? For example, when we say, does drug dealers serve me as a human? So
Maybe they can frustrate.
It's a good one.
Depends.
definitely it's not serving my humanity. Because we have a description of what a human should be like, and we think like using drugs is not very humanly, and it day by day it takes you out of your humanity. It reduces to like a numb and dumb person, which is more like unlike human. So a drug dealer does not serve humanity, for instance. Definitely a drug dealer does not serve me as a human. Or even some sort of, let's say, a animal-like entertainment. Because drug is some sort of an entertainment. There might be another sort of an entertainment, and this is why, let's say, when people try to buy toys to their kids, they want it to be more educative, because we think that humans are a certain kind. They are not like animals. So in this existence, what are the things that serve my humanity? What is your humanity get satisfied with? Yes.
Meaningful things.
Meaningful things. Very good. What is a meaningful thing? Meaning is important, I agree, but we need to open it up a little bit.
I think that just the understanding, right?
Mm.
Like that knowledge and understanding.
This is how we started, right? Who am I in here? Who put me into this car? Like the car is going 150 miles. At that moment, if you are in this car, if somebody serves you food, do you really care about food at that moment? I am kidnapped, man. Where am I going to? Forget about food. Just tell me where is this car going? Who is driving the car? How did I end up in here? These are the things that I am interested in knowing. I'm not really interested in if you put me the best biryani in front of me at such a moment. Who cares if I just enjoy it or not enjoy it? So in this existence, I am inside this car, kidnapped in this earth. I am not in Mars, not in Moon. In this one, I don't see the driver of the car. I don't know where it is going. I don't know how I ended up in this car. So as a human, feeding my body with food is not really serving my humanity in this case. It's just serving my animal body. Serving animal body is one thing. Serving my humanity is another thing. My humanity wants those answers. This is where I differ from the rest of the existence, right? Animals are not interested in, or apparently, not interested in knowing or having those questions, but I do. So when the Quran says all the angels prostrate you or your humanity, what does that mean? Yes.
I mean, I know this from our previous discussion I had with you, but he seems to think that angels are carriers of messages, so messages, meaningful messages. So you see that every human being can't live without meaning, and if they search for meaning, they find it. So it's as if like whenever somebody wants to do something meaningful, like the creation is the angels are at their service to provide that human with meaning.
So let's put it this way. How does this chapter start with? What was the first verse of the chapter? Do you remember? Alif Lam Mim Sad. Does it mean anything? Just letters, right? The rest of the chapter is also consisting of letters. But they do mean something. So what's the difference between the two? As if the creator is saying that meaning is not from those letters. You see, I put those letters at the beginning, 4 letters in there. And I'm going to create meaning from them to you. The letters themselves are not meaningful. The rest of the verses are also a bunch of letters. Do you get meaning from the letters, or meaning is another creation? Since the beginning, the creator was talking about sustenance. We are getting some sustenance from these letters, right? Or letters were just the form of the meaning. So the meaning is being created separately. Or let's not call it separately, but let's put it this way. So you are there, your body is there, but when I talk to you, I'm not talking to your flesh and bones. There's something else in there, or if you like, flip side of you, which we call as spirit of you, which I am communicating with. How about this existence itself? I am asking questions to existence. Let's say I'm looking at this flower right there, this green thing over there. And I say, how did you happen to be? Just ask this question to a plant. How did you come into being? Or ask it to this baby. We were just asking it a few minutes ago how fast she is growing. She was just a single cell a year ago. So how, if I ask the question to this baby, how did you happen to be like that? What would the baby say? Would the baby say, I am very smart, I collect all the nutrition from all over the world. Rain, yeah, I took it from the sea. Milk, I produce it. No, she's unaware of any of these. She is being given. So by this, she is being given, she tells me that there is a maker of me. I'm having this conversation with this baby right there. And we are having this conversation with these words, letters in here. So the meaning is another existence in itself. So in this case, this meaning aspect serves my humanity. Another common example that we give, let's say one day you love this girl and you take this rose, bunch of rose to girl. You serve it to the girl. What do you say right now? What is a rose? Bunch of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and let's assume the girl is a chemistry PhD student. Takes the rose and says, oh, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. What would you say? This rose is not nitrogen and carbon and oxygen. This rose means something. It's like, it means love. She would understand. Girls are more understanding than boys, especially in such matters. So you see the meaning or the symbolism of love is in there as well. It's not only matter. So this aspect of rose will communicate with the humanity, my humanity. If it was my animal body, I would just take the rose and eat the rose. This is to feed my animal body. But it talks to my humanity. The angels speaks to my humanity and prostrates to my humanity. What does prostrate mean? It feeds my humanity. It gives me the answers about why am I in this car? Where is this going to? This is why I should keep talking to the trees and the sun and the spring and ask them, tell me about my maker. Tell me about the driver of this car. Tell me about who put me into this globe. And they will speak to me. And actually, they do speak to me. This is what this verse is saying. They truly prostrate me. Because I can find answers from them about my maker. I mean, if a girl asks to this rose, tell me about my lover, the rose will say that, especially if the number of roses are according to, let's say, the girl's age. The girl will know, wow, this is a careful lover. He knows my age and he gifted me as if a single rose for every year of my life. Such a nice gentleman. So it speaks, right? All these things are within this rose. Likewise in existence, the existence speaks to me about my maker. But then, Iblis, he was not among those who prostrated themselves. There is Iblis. How about Iblis that does not prostrate humanity? Have you ever seen Iblis?
I think he just painted him as a drug dealer for me now.
Drug dealer?
I was like, here, have this apple. It's amazing effects.
What do you think? Where is Iblis? Let's read about Iblis, because the next verses are going to explain where Iblis, or where we can find Iblis. But are we a little bit clear with the angels? Now if I come and tell you that you don't have to believe in angels, would you say that? How come? I do observe that there is meaning in this existence. It speaks to me. Constantly it speaks to me. How am I going to shut this up? It will keep speaking to me. How can I deny that? It is consciously speaking me of my maker. The existence is not like, I cannot deny that there is something more in there than your flesh and bones. If somebody says that there's no soul in this gentleman, or you don't have a soul, if you tell me that you don't have a soul, I would say, what are you talking about? How about this very feeling of consciousness of I that I have? How am I going to deny this? I cannot simply be consisting of material. The material does not explain the I-ness, the consciousness that I have. Go away, I would say, immediately. I do the same for the rest of the existence. Somebody comes and tells me that this plant is just a collection of particles, nothing more. I would say, no. I am having a conversation with this plant. I ask a question to the plant. Tell me about my maker. And it tells me about my maker. So there's this consciousness that I constantly observe. And it serves my humanity. Now, second part of the coin, flip side. Verse number 12. Then the creator is, in here, starting a conversation with Iblis. قال ما منعك ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. So the creator now says, what has kept you from prostrating yourself when I commanded you? He answers, Iblis answers, I am better than he. You have created me out of fire, whereas him you have created out of clay. This is Iblis. What is Iblis? What does this verse tell you about Iblis? And Iblis not prostrating your humanity. What does it say? Any ideas?
Well, at least the thing that I think of is that this is like extreme disobedience in a way that like we can't even commit, because here Iblis is literally hearing the command directly from Allah and like bearing witness to Allah in a like a physical sense even, and is still disobeying Allah. So that's just like a whole other level of disobedience.
Okay.
Whereas like in this world we have a different way of like I guess bearing witness to the reality, and we disobey Allah, but this is like to a whole other level.
Okay. But again, if you take it as your story, how would you take it? Because in my story, we talked about angels in my story, right? Like as if the plants in there, subservient to my humanity, I found angels in there. And I said that there must exist some conscious being which I communicate with. And they tell me about my reality. Why am I in this globe, in this dark space? It's going into an unknown direction. But the plants or the animals or the sky or the spring, everything speaks to me about my maker. How about Iblis? How does Iblis disobey?
I kind of feel like Iblis is also me.
Okay.
I think in the story I would think I'm Adam and I'm also Iblis.
Mhm. Okay.
So yeah, I think you mentioned earlier good things and good thoughts and bad thoughts, and they both kind of exist at the same time.
Mhm.
So Iblis can represent my potential for arrogance and things like that.
Because in terms of angels, like if you like, as if there is an ear in me which can communicate with this. How do I know of angels? How do I know of you, for example? I know of you because I can communicate with you. I can hear you. I can see you. I can speak to you, communicate with you. So there is something in me which receives from you and gives to you this communication. Likewise, I am experiencing the same with this plant as well. Right? If you were a dead corpse, I wouldn't be able to take anything from you. Or it wouldn't be communication, if you like. I would say something, but it's not going to reflect back to me. It would be a dead one. But when I talk to a plant, I ask, who is your maker? And keep going this conversation back and forth. I arrive to some conclusion, right? So it's not a corpse. So likewise, so there's an aspect in me which can communicate with this plant. So let's take this Iblis description of the Iblis in here as if it speaks, there's an aspect in me which can communicate with such a being. Or, as you said, if you would like to take like this, there is an aspect in me which is as being described in here with Iblis. What does Iblis say? He doesn't deny God, does he? Says, you created me. There's nothing, no doubt about this, no debate, not a denier. What does Iblis do?
I think him using the word I is key. So maybe he represents himself in the wrong way before God,
In what sense?
in that he thinks that he himself is more valuable than something God made more valuable.
Born valuable or is valuable?
I guess you could say is valuable. So he considered himself like maybe intrinsically valuable. So to say.
He says, قال أنا خير منه, but I am made better than him. He says, I am better than him, and provides a justification for this. He says, since I am inherently better than him, like Adam, you made me out of fire and him out of clay. What's wrong in here, though? Do you see anything wrong with this?
Fire is not necessarily better than clay. Right?
Yeah.
They're both just other creations of Allah.
That's right. So if somebody thinks that fire is better than clay, what does this hint about the mindset of this person? Things have values inherently within themselves. But what's wrong with that? Does things have values inherently within them or no? What do you think? It might sound a little bit philosophical. So if you would like to say it in simpler terms, go ahead. Anybody?
I mean, it's kind of going back to the letters,
Mm.
right? That anything is a potential carrier. But what is it that carries?
Mm.
Whether you have a creation of Allah, whatever it's made out of, but how does it actually serve? How does it function?
Mhm.
You know, is it, righteous and beneficial, serving Allah, or is it, harmful and creating obstacles?
So if I give an example for this value stuff, inherently valuable or not, let's make it more demonstrative.
I can
So is this inherently valuable? By itself, what's that?
Paper.
Paper and ink has no value. So if this one says to this one, this is 20, this is 1. So I am better than this. This is why you made me 20 and made it 1. Does it mean anything? Because independent of their resource, whoever first published these 2 banknotes, if you just demolish this bank, I don't know, Reserve of United States, whatever, if the Reserve of United States is gone,
And it becomes monopoly money.
they're going to be the same. So the giver of value to these is the United States Reserve. So the giver of value to existence is the creator. What is the source of existence? They do not exist by themselves. Neither one of them exists by themselves. They are being given value by somebody else, by something else. Who am I being given value from? Satan is thinking that I am inherently valuable. Before the United States Reserve was there, I was already 20. This is why you put 20 on me. I was already valuable. This is why you made me out of fire and him out of clay. I was already valuable. I was already existing by myself. Is there any truth behind that? It's just an illusion. So Satan is, if you like, signifying or demonstrating illusions that we have. So when you look at this plant, so let's say, or let's go with this other example of birds in here. So it says, قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ. So there's this word مَنَعَكَ. And if I say مَنَعَكَ means sun, what would better tell me? Newton, are you kidding? Menarche doesn't mean sun. Does it mean sun? No, it doesn't mean sun. So I'm just lying. Satan said that I am valuable. Is there any truth behind that? And if I say menarche means sun, does it serve my humanity? My humanity is looking for a meaning. And by saying that menarche means sun, I am deceiving myself. I am not serving my humanity. So in the existence, if I take things as lie, like not, because I can misguide myself as well. Looking at existence, I can look at a DNA. A DNA could tell me that there must exist things in order. This serves my humanity. It puts things into a right perspective, and it satisfies my humanity. But I can take DNA to my hand, and I can say that, look, this DNA makes me. Is there any truth in the second one? Can DNA make you? We need to ask this question to ourselves. DNA is just a bunch of letters which are formed in a, they themselves are not aware of their own existence. How come they're going to give me my existence within a certain order? Saying that DNA makes me is sort of what Iblis is doing. It's a lie. So in this context, when Creator talks about Iblis in this existence is all the lies, all the things, the baseless claims. There's no base in the claim of, I am better than him because you made me out of fire and him out of clay. This is a baseless claim. And there are a lot of baseless claims in this existence. One of them is, if you graduate from Penn, you're going to be the happiest man on earth. Here we have a graduate. This miserable man right there. So, like baseless claims. Okay. So, shall we stop here? You couldn't go too much forward, but let's stop here and continue from this conversation of Creator will say that to Satan, to Iblis, go down. Inshallah, we will pick up from there. And any comments? I talked a lot. Any questions or comments with the verses 11, 12, or the previous ones? Agreements, disagreements?
I enjoyed the way you explained the 20 versus the 1 and Iblis and Adam by saying that I am better than you, which is why I have 20, or I am better than you, which is why I'm made of fire. That's also kind of how social, it's kind of how classism develops and racism develops. Is the exact same mindset.
Yeah.
So I am a better person than you, which is why I was born to a rich family. or we are better, our race is better than yours, which is why we are white, or whatever. That's like how the world functions, and it goes back to the same delusion.
And I guess another version of this might be, I was born into a Muslim family. There's
I was already Muslim before, so
something like that.
I was better than you.
So there are many flavors of such a thought, and Quran is speaking like in black and white terms, but Quran is speaking of me. So I do have these false claims all over the place in me, but also I can communicate with this other aspect in creation which speaks to my humanity. Also, I might be, because we will keep going and we will see that Satan will try to deceive me. So it's not that Satan is like, he is talking about somebody out there. No, it's as if, as the story goes, he's talking about an entity or a being in which I am constantly struggling with. So, inshallah, we will pick it up from there next Wednesday. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة